Hello everyone. This video is about the death of Rayshard Brooks, and I just can't I don't know what to tell you. The death of another young black man at the hands of the police, and happened in Atlanta. Rayshard Brooks was celebrating his daughter's birthday. And Rayshard, he celebrated with alcohol, and he got drunk, and then he was drunk driving. And he pulled into the lot of a Wendy's, and he stopped right in the drive-through and fell asleep. Just was tired. Alcohol had an effect on him, and it made him fall asleep. The cars were going around him. The cars were going around him, and the Wendy's was losing profits. So they called the police, which is something they should not have done. It would have been so easy to wake him themselves. But they called the police anyway. They didn't handle the situation themselves. They called the police. Police officer came, woke Rayshard, told him to pull into one of the parking spaces. And he did. And then his partner in crime, the other police officer, arrived on the scene, and they booked him. First they gave him a DUI test, a breathalyzer. He did not pass because he was drunk, and then they proceeded to arrest him. And it was then, when they proceeded to arrest him, that this man who was intoxicated resisted arrest. He was quite strong, quite brawny, Rayshard was, and he fought off the police successfully and made off with one of their tasers. He ran away from the police with the taser, and apparently they were shooting at him from behind. So he turned around and pointed the taser at the police officer, and then the police officer shot him dead. Right then and there. And, as you may know, tasers are not usually deadly. They can be deadly, which is why they should never be used. And the police officer's first mistake was pulling out a taser to subdue Rayshard. He should not have pulled out a taser at all. He should have used physical means to restrain him if he could. He should not have pulled out a taser. When Rayshard pointed the taser at the cop, that was his mistake. He should not have pointed a taser at a cop, because if you point anything at a cop, even a toy gun or your finger or anything, they will shoot you dead. That's what they're trained to do, and they will shoot you dead. But this should not have happened. This should not have happened. They should not have shot him dead. I've just been so upset. It's so soon after the death of George Floyd. Rayshard's death comes so soon after the death of George Floyd. I can't deal with it. It's just too much. And just a few days before in Atlanta, just before Rayshard was shot dead, there was a couple that got caught in traffic, and they had just gone into a drive-through, maybe McDonald's. I don't know where they went. They went for fast food, and they were on their way home. And they were trying to get home. They were out after curfew in their cars. Police pulled them over, dragged them kicking and screaming out of their cars, and arrested them. I don't know what happened to those cops. The cops that shot, I think they were put on administrative leave, but the cop that shot Rayshard was fired, which is good, but when are they going to press charges against him? And that's just too much for me to deal with. I've been basically gorging myself on snacks, whatever's available, whatever's handy, I just eat it. Actually, I've been oversleeping. I've just been lying in bed with my head covers over my head, not wanting to function, not wanting to get up. Haven't been able to work, haven't been able to concentrate, looking for every distraction I can think of. It's been bad for me, and as you know, I've been through it with the cops myself, and I know the cops can be bad, and just hearing about the cops doing this makes me not even want to go outside my front door. I'm scared to even go out. Now, in my neighborhood, there aren't bullets flying, but there's been reports of drive-bys, people getting killed, very nearby. So, just scared of drive-bys, scared of shootings, scared of bullets flying, scared of the cops, afraid to go outside. And then there's coronavirus, and that makes me even more afraid to go outside. I haven't been able to cope with this. And just to add insult to injury, my mom said, if you make one more video about race, you're going to lose all your viewers. You're going to lose all of them. No one wants to hear you anymore. They're sick of you. And if you make even one more video about race, you're going to lose all your viewers, because none of your viewers care about race. And none of them care about George Floyd or this issue, and goddess worshippers are only interested in goddess, and they don't care. And you should get back to making videos about goddess, because if you don't, you're going to lose all your viewers. Well, frankly, I don't give a damn. I don't care. I really don't care if I lose all my viewers. Maybe I'll have all new viewers. But I'm kind of sad that no one's really taken an interest in my videos, that they haven't watched my videos so far. The last one I made was really important, so if you haven't seen it yet, please watch it. Put a warning on it, and it is quite graphic, so you're forewarned. But it's not. There's no graphics as far as scenery goes, or seeing anything scary. It's just a scary story. So, I I'm not, the last video, of course, I was not intending at all to incite people or upset people or to promote racism in any way. That was not my intention. And my intention was to show, and this is something interesting that it's It's that, like, things that could possibly lead to racism or cause someone to possibly become a racist, or things that cause people to become biased, not necessarily racist, but biased or prejudiced. Just personal experiences that could lead to prejudice. Because if people see other people being objectified, that's how prejudice starts, when they see other people as objects and see them being objectified. That leads to prejudice, and it leads to racism, it leads to biases, and it leads to all of those things. Even the best of us can be biased by these sorts of personal experiences. So, and there's no exceptions. I mean, we're all human. African Americans. I don't know what the preferred term is anymore. I don't know if the preferred term is African Americans or black people. I'm not sure, but African Americans certainly have had experiences with white folks that make them leery, and people are just reacting out of their pasts and what they know. That's all people can do. People can't. They're not like goddess. They're not on a higher plane. They can't read minds. They can't see another person's life. They just react based on what they know. People do have biases, and they do react based on what they know. The cop that shot Rayshard had been on the force 6.5 years. They were reporting that he had been on the force 16 years, but that was a mistake. It was 6.5 years. The one that was the other cop, the one that woke him, he had been on the force for 2 years. So it doesn't take long for these cops to become crooked. And it's hard to know how long to even keep someone as a cop because of this. I can't really offer you any solutions. I would suggest that a solution, there's a few solutions. One is community-based policing, where you have the community either elect officials, like a sheriff would get elected, or elect cops to work for them, or select cops by hand. The civic leaders of the community select cops by hand to be trained, and then they serve that specific community. So keep it very local. Another possible solution is privatized cops, but that's not going to work very well, privatizing cops, and I'll tell you why. The reason privatizing the police force does not work well is because once you lay off all the cops that work for the public cops, they just all go and get jobs with this private company. They just all reapply and all get hired as cops because they have all the experience, they have all the training, they have a good resume, and they just get hired by the privatizing company. Private business can be selective, but so can the regular public police are selective. They're very selective, and they've got psychological tests, and they have screenings where they interview the potential cops over and over. They're very careful. They're very careful about who they select. Doesn't do any good. Because the sorts that go into policing tend to be, biased or prejudiced to begin with. And then when they're on the force a few years, they become even more biased and more prejudiced. The third solution, the one that's being proposed in Minneapolis is just to eliminate the police. But then what happens when someone calls 911 and something goes wrong, right? They have to bring police in from the surrounding suburbs. So the surrounding suburbs police forces have to serve Minneapolis, which really isn't fair because Minneapolis is so big and the suburbs are small, and they shouldn't have to pick up the slack. Or they could have no police service at all, no 911, and just let people drop dead. Or have EMS workers or firefighters go to an unsecured scene so that they arrive there to pick up the pieces or pick up the dead bodies, and there's still shooting going on and it's not a safe situation. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. You have to have some sort of security or police. And right now, people who are protesting are yelling for there to be no police, no security, no cops, none whatsoever. They just want them gone and have none. I can see some problems with this. I can foresee some problems, like what if there's a rapist going around the neighborhood, which happened at the University of Minnesota. There was a rapist going around raping women on every street corner or sexually assaulting them. And he covered his face for a long time. They put cameras all over the campus. It took a year, but they finally caught him. If there had been no police, he would have never gotten caught, and women would have just gone on getting... And this was very, very recently. So why are people already saying no? We don't want any cops at all, when they just had such an experience so recently and so soon. It's too soon. It's too soon to be saying no cops, because everyone's experienced this. Everyone heard about this rapist and no one felt safe. Another thing you might be interested in, at the University of Chicago recently. University of Chicago, as you might know, is one of the top business schools in the nation. I think it's number 3 right now. They had a woman, she was a black woman, brutally murdered and raped by this black man who was off the campus. He wasn't from the University of Chicago. He came on off the campus, and he was a vagrant, and he had just been in town for a few days, and he raped and killed her, and he just thought she was good looking, and when she didn't respond to his advances even once, he just killed her. And she was on her way to her car, and they found her face down with her pants pulled down naked in her car. I don't remember how he killed her. I think he either strangled her or bashed her skull in. I don't remember. But it was a bloody scene. It was really bloody. And they found his semen. They had his face on video. If there had been no cops, he would have never gotten caught, and she would have never gotten any justice. I mean, she was dead, so justice doesn't really help her, but he would have gone on to rape again and to kill again. Once he got a taste of killing, he'd just keep going. So you had to have cops. You had to have cops. How can you not have any cops? So I think community policing is probably the best solution. Just have the local community, like a neighborhood, as small as a neighborhood, elect some cops, or appoint some leaders of the community or some representatives of the community that they trust to hand select these cops, and and hopefully the cops will actually be from the community, and then they can serve the community that they're from. That's the best solution, really. Because you can't have no cops. That's not gonna last. Probably citywide cops will go by the wayside eventually because of these problems. If the city is small enough, then you could have one police force for the whole city. But if it's a big city, each individual community will have to have its own cops that are hand-selected and trained. I don't know how each community is going to afford training, because some of them are quite poor, but maybe they can use the funds that they currently allocate to the main police force and allocate the funds to each community to pay for the cops for that community. So that's it. Not a pretty story. Not nice at all. So soon after the death of George Floyd, there's another death. It really makes you think about racism in this country, and whether you believe that it's the system or individual. But no matter what it is you believe is the cause of racism or the source of racism, it's without a doubt there's racism. There's no questioning that there's racism. Yes, you can't really deny, even if you believe in systemic racism, you can't really deny individual racism. There's no way you can deny that there's individual racism, because it's so obvious with these cases that are happening and the decisions these individuals are making. It's so obvious. But as far as systemic racism goes, I will say this. Cops are a patriarchal product of society. They're a patriarchal organization. They always have been. It's men in charge with the guns and all the weapons going after. Now there's some female cops now, but it's still mostly men. And men like to go into policing. It appeals to them. They're natural born soldiers. And they go into it, and then they kill people. And they're actually given the power to kill. If they were just investigators. See, they have to be armed because they can't investigate a murder if a murder scene is dangerous. Could be too dangerous to get there, too dangerous to stay there to investigate. They have to secure the scene at the very least. And most of the time, cops are there to pick up the pieces of your body after you've been brutally murdered or raped, or they're just there to pick up the pieces. They don't practice prevention at all. They just cruise the neighborhood looking for people who've committed crimes, arrest them, put them in jail or prison, and then eventually, hopefully, some of the people get released. Some never do. It's a patriarchal system, and people are really mad, not only about the police, but the judicial system, and how many black men are in prison right now, and how many black people are in prison right now. They're mad about this. And they have a right to be mad, and if we legalized, which Biden has no intention of doing, if we legalized, a lot of those people could be pardoned and they would get out. I'm not sure what the policy of the Green Party is. I think they want to legalize marijuana at the least. Libertarians want to legalize all drugs. Just something to think about. No real pressure there. There's alternatives if you don't feel like voting for Biden, but Biden wants to jump in on both sides of this issue. Like, he wants to say that there's racism and that the cops are brutal and that we need to change the system. Somehow we have to change the system. Well, they tried to effect change changing the cops in Minneapolis. The governor was involved, the mayor was involved, they had a new police chief, even the attorney general was involved, and they could not stop this from happening. All of them. They could not stop this from happening again. So Biden is basically paying lip service to systemic racism and really doesn't have a clear plan for what to do about it, because he doesn't plan to eliminate all police. He's just going to leave it up to the local jurisdictions what they decide to do. So it can keep happening again and again until it's happened everywhere, and everywhere's been forced to change. But, you know, he at the same time he says, well, the looting and burning is bad, and we shouldn't have looting and burning, and people need to respect the law. And I don't know. I understand him saying that, and I respect that. I respect that he cares about small businesses. I respect that he cares about small businesses, and he also cares about police reform. So I think he's a much better choice than Trump. And it's sort of reached a crisis point in this country with Trump, because the things he says are so inflammatory, and he's such a divider. And now he's going to have his, first he was going to have his convention on Juneteenth. Then he moved his convention to the 27th of August, which is a lynching day. Don't know the exact name of this lynching day, but it was a day when the people in the city where he's having the convention were an angry mob of white people lynching black people. And this happened like over a century ago, but he picked that day. And then Ben Carson, his right-hand man, jumped in and said, people are too sensitive and they need to get over this, and they need to stop imagining that there's something nefarious going on when there isn't. His words, nefarious was his word. Well, maybe something nefarious is going on, and maybe Trump thinks that his best chances of getting reelected are to appeal to racists. That must be his logic, which isn't very good logic, because racists are a minority in this country, and most Republicans disapprove of him now and are moving away from him now and distancing themselves. Because most people do not like racists. So that's it. Can't tell you the best solution to this. There are no easy solutions. There are no perfect solutions. We still live in a fallen world, and we can't deny any longer. Can't deny it. We can't close our eyes to it. We can't pretend that our Creator doesn't have a dark side. We have to admit it. We can't deny it any longer. Any of us. Not even Christians, not even the Jews, not even Muslims. Nobody can deny the darkness. Nobody can turn a blind eye to the darkness in creation. So dark. So much darkness. Even our little brothers and sisters, the animals, rip each other to shreds every day, and they have to do it just to survive. That's really dark. By dark, I'm not trying to use racist language. I realize I use that too much, but I grew up on Star Wars. I saw it when I was very young, and I was just learning language. And Darth Vader said, "You cannot imagine the power of the dark side," and that dark side stuck in my head, so I always think of it. But I don't intend to use racist language in any way. Um, we can't deny the negative side of reality. We can't deny the negativity. We can't deny evil. We can't deny chaos. We can't deny any of these things because we see them every day all around us. We see evil. We see chaos. We see negativity. It's a part of creation. So if it's a part of creation, it also has to be a part of our Creator. There's just no questioning that. But I just leave you with that. I'm not pressing other religions or questioning a religion or saying that it's wrong for you to believe in an all-good Creator that can do no wrong and is always just and fair. I'm not questioning your beliefs. I'm speaking mostly to goddess worshippers. You can't really consider goddess all good when you see all of these things. And you can't deny there's a Creator either. Any of us who have had spiritual experiences can't deny a spiritual side of life. We can't deny it. But at the same time, we can't deny the darkness either. So we put two and two together, and Creator isn't all bad, but they're not all good either. Just something to think about, something to consider. Nothing we can do about it. Nothing we can do about that. And my next video will be, if you're interested, will be about the dark side, the negative, destructive aspect of the Creator and of life. So I'll leave you with that, and stay safe, people. Stay home. It's a dangerous, dangerous world we're living in. It's not worth it to go for fast food now. Just stay home. Don't go outside your front doors. It's too dangerous. And I'll see you next time.